Good morning.
How are you today? It's Friday.
It is Friday. It is Friday. I'm fabulous.
Fabulously Friday.
Fabulously Friday.
Fabulously Friday.
And
And
we're
it's sales
on
day.
Double Funnel TV.
It is. It is. And like I said, because I went to traffic conversion, we're a little messed up this week. Don't have a set one. But yesterday, did you have something for us?
Today?
Yeah, specific?
Sure. But I don't have to. I can do it a lot of days.
Go.
So
What
do
do
you
you
have something
have today?
specific?
What do you have?
Well, it's the presentation I actually did for a major electronics supplier last week. And it kind of after what you did yesterday, or walking through the 7 steps, because I had just given this 7 steps of leadership legacy. And it was like, might be a good dovetail off of that. Might be a way of doing it. Doesn't have to happen today. Could happen today.
That's what I was going to ask you to do.
What's that?
That's exactly what you just said, because we were talking about it yesterday.
Well, that's kind of what got me thinking about it was why not do it from the standpoint of I just did it, number one. But the other side of it, it kind of goes into what we discussed yesterday, which is always kind of cool to then dovetail from where we were, right? So
It was. Like starting where we did. So what did you say the title was? Something for leadership?
7 steps to leadership legacy.
7 steps to leadership legacy.
Yeah, so I was asked to come into this company. They've got a leadership group that meets consistently,
Mm-hmm.
and it really was how do they. What's cool about the group is not only do they've got all ranges of people that show up from the organization. So they have the newbies, they have kind of the worker bees, they have the management, and then they have retirees, and that they honor and with for their legacy and for what they've done for the company. So it's a luncheon that they have that kind of is broad spectrum, which I think
Okay.
it's a really cool idea, because what it does is obviously brings the expertise from the past. It honors them, which is cool. But then the other side of it, it also, they have this free exchange of ideas. So it's funny because you got
Yeah.
people that say, well, back in my day, dot, dot, dot. And like there were conversations where they go, what is that?
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
I've never even heard of, right? Because, and I had said, my dad worked for the same company for 46 years from the time he was 17 till he was 63 when he retired. And, you just don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Or it's very rare to do that anymore. I'm not going to say that you can't. You can. It's just
It's rare.
it's very rare. And so again, I mean, it was interesting, from that side for my dad. I mean, I've seen both perspectives. It's why I went into corporate America way back when, because that's what you did, right? You went into corporate America. That's what you did. And, 13 years into my corporate career, corporate changed. I mean, it was a different experience.
Right.
And of course, it's been different. It has been different many times since then. So
Right.
it was interesting to be in a group like that, and get people's takes on a variety of different things. So this is the presentation that I did for them.
Outstanding. Do you need me to put anything up on the billboard?
Nah, I was going to do that, and then I thought, nah, there's animations and different things, so it's kind of hard to do. I'd have to, well, because you're flying PDFs, right? I would have had to separate each animation into a new page and whatever. The foundation is, nah, it's okay. Anyway, we'll just do it this way for now. The interesting things of 7 Steps for Leadership Legacy is the difference between leaving a legacy and living your legacy. And legacy shouldn't be what you accumulate to leave once you've left. Legacy should actually be what you're known for as you live. Legacy is today. I think a lot of people think of it as it's out in the future or whatever. And the point is that you can actually live your legacy every day. What is it you're known for? Whether that be known for kindness or, a calm exterior and all those kinds of things, or whatever it might be, that you're fair or whatever the case is.
Uh-huh.
And one of the ways that I help to share this is I've got an article from a nurse who has shared the top 5 regrets of people on their deathbeds. And it's a fascinating article from the extent, but from number 5 counting back down to 1 will make it the top 5 list. The top 5 regrets is number 5 was, I wish I had allowed myself to be happier. Now that's
just simple.
It's so simple, be happier. Just there's no need to not be happy. That's a choice. So it's something you could do. The number 4 was, I wish I had stayed in touch with friends. And what I had relayed was that not long ago, I had a pretty significant year high school reunion. And
I like that you like a significant year.
That's exactly it. Probably about 2.5 years ahead of that, somebody posted our 8th grade football picture.
Oh, wow.
And started tagging names. And then the invitation to tag along with it. And so all of a sudden we kind of filled in the names of all of our 8th grade football team. And then somebody posted the 9th grade team. And then this, and then that. And by the time we were ready for our reunion 2.5 years later, we had a group of about, I think it was 267 that were all playing on this Facebook page. And so by the time you got back to the reunion, it was like you actually had kind of caught up a little bit. So the conversations and everything were more meaningful. Anyway, the number 4 was, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. The thing is, in this day and age, Coach Hayden Fry, yesterday was his 90th birthday. Well, that's the legendary football coach I played for at Iowa. Well, the way I knew that is a bunch of players posted happy birthday, Coach Fry. Right? Uh-huh. So again, stay in touch. Number 3 was, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. And I think that's a really big one, is that people just don't typically express their feelings, positive, negative. If they're frustrated, they don't let that out. So then that eats at them, and dis-ease is created inside the body. Dis-ease turns into disease, yes. Which is not a good thing, right? Number 2 is, I wish I didn't work so hard. And it's funny because, it's not funny, but I think sometimes people confuse busyness for hard work.
Yep.
And it's not necessarily about working hard, and it's not about work. It's about working. It's not even about working smart. It's about working right. If there are things that just really frustrate the crap out of you, find somebody who that's their passion.
Right.
And
exactly.
Engage them to do their passion. While I'm having fun building funnels, and I've gotten fairly proficient at it, you love building funnels. I like building funnels. That's the difference.
Uh-huh.
Work with somebody who absolutely loves. Now, conversely, I love training. You like training. I mean, you're good at training, but I mean, it's not like you drop everything else to go off and train, right?
Mm-hmm.
So work right. Don't even work smart, work right, do what's right. And the last one is the one that I think is the most powerful. And I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not a life others expected of me. Live your life, right? True self. Great way of putting it, right? And that was kind of the realization after a lot of years of being on this planet. Again, I'm more mature.
Years on the planet.
That's a code word for old. You know, I've been around long enough, and it really, it hit me in December. It was like, you know, just, I'm not going to do anything that doesn't bring me joy. Again, whether there's 2 people watching this, 2,000 people watching this, or 200,000 people watching this, if I can touch one life through this brings me joy.
Right.
I mean, that's what, for me, training is that lifeblood, right? So again, I suggest you live that true self, who you are. Now, again, sometimes people say, Scott, where did this all start with you? Well, it started when I read the book See You at the Top by the great Zig Ziglar. And there was a quote in that book that forever changed my life. You can have everything in life you want when you help enough other people get what they want. It's a positioning statement, right? Everything's available to you when you become of service and of value to others. And so again, you and I have this conversation about double funnel TV quite often, right? It's like, you know, some people say, well, nobody's watching, or few people are watching, or this or that. I think we've served a number of people, right? And we get a lot of good comments. We get a lot of good comments afterwards. And quite frankly, the other side of that is whether we ever get a single comment. You've got to know deep down that what you're doing is providing value to those on the other side, whatever that means. One little nugget, one little piece, one little whatever. If it's just you coming back from traffic and conversion and going, man, this was an awesome event, and somebody took that nugget and said, well, next year I'm going to go. Okay. Cool, whatever that is, right? So I think it kind of comes down to, you know, what's in your heart, you know, the capital one, what's in your wallet? Well, really, what's in your
wallet?
Really, what's in your heart? That's your wallet, right? Because we're all a product of the choices we've made and the actions we've taken along the way. And it's really your core values that identify you. Now, for me, that's faith, honesty, integrity, courage, and stewardship. And I'm going to go through each one quickly. You know, faith is belief in higher source. And I'm going to touch on that here in a second. And trusting that higher source's plan and timing are perfect for all events in life, no matter where you are. And again, I'll get into it deeper here in a few minutes. Honesty, being upright and fair in all actions and decisions. You know, be truthful, free of deceit. You know, tell people what it's about. You know, be honest with them. You know, the congruence of word, deed, and action. You know, does everything always go right? No, but do everything you can then to make it right. You know, if you misspeak or something happens, then share why that happened, right?
Exactly.
Third one, integrity, being whole, complete, and soundness of character. You know, how you do anything is how you do everything. Integrity comes from the word integer, one, wholeness. And so, again, I've seen, and we've had these conversations where I've seen onstage people and backstage people. And it's funny how the same person changes, or many times they change.
Now, are you talking about the person, like their personality, how they are on stage versus how they are behind the stage?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's their public persona versus who they really are. You know, unfortunately, there are far too many that you know don't carry it through. The fourth core value is courage. And that's having the mindset and the spirit to address things head on. Doesn't mean you won't fear things. Doesn't mean you won't have issues. It just means you fight through them, even though you do.
Exactly.
I mean, I can't imagine any one of our veterans who has been put in a place where they're defending the freedom of this country that, to a certain extent, there isn't a little bit of fear there. And yet they fight through that fear to accomplish the mission. Well, that's where that courage comes in, right? It's kind of going into it as opposed to running from it. And then the fifth core value for me is stewardship. And that's being responsible and overseeing the things that have been granted. It's interesting. I was reading an article the other day and somebody said, if you have $10 in your pocket, you're in the top 1% of the world. And it was like, wow. I mean, now I don't know that the statistic is absolute or whatever, but it was like, boy, it does stop you and get you to think, doesn't it?
$10 is a lot in some countries.
Well, exactly. So I'm just saying that, and I haven't always done the best job of this. But boy, I am working to, and as I came into 2019, that was an area where, again, when I review goals or I review, my thought process, that was an area where I decided that, boy, I could do better. But when you put it all together, then you put it into your mission. I mean, my mission it has been for a long time. I stated it publicly a long time ago, but to create a community of over 1 million people, equipping them to maximize their life spiritually, personally, professionally, and financially, have enough influence to cause over $100 million in charitable giving, and to positively impact 1 billion or more lives on the planet.
Only 1 billion?
Only 1 billion. It's only 1 out of 7. It's not that big a deal. But and again, I've shared this a number of times. I shared it on a radio show not long ago, and the host went, well, that's, yeah, come on, who do you think you are? And I said, I'm just a person who made a decision that's one of the goals and one of the things I'm working towards. And they said, well, you think you can accomplish that? I said, well, yeah, if I didn't think I could accomplish it, I wouldn't have put it down. And quite frankly, he goes, how are you going to do that? I said, I got no idea, but I work at it every day. And here's the part of that that's so interesting, isn't it? All of a sudden somebody's firing at you, saying all this stuff. And you go, well, Mark Zuckerberg did it. He does it virtually every day, right?
Right.
Because, 500 million people are on Facebook every day, right? So you're saying that he's better than I am? It's not a matter of better. He just figured out a way.
Right.
And so I didn't know about funnels till I knew about funnels, right? I didn't know how to.
I didn't know about funnels until I knew about funnels.
Well, right. You don't know what you don't know, and you know it. And so you don't know how we could impact 1 billion lives. The fact that this training goes out, on YouTube and on all your social shares and all the different things you do with it, who knows who could see this particular training and go, holy cow, we need to share this message everywhere. Cool. So again, the only way that you can get people to enlist and enroll into your vision is to share your vision. If, there's times where I'll say this from stage, my goal is to ultimately positively impact 1 billion or more lives on the planet. Now, I understand the chances of me doing that by myself are fairly slim, but that's why I'm announcing it to all of you. And who wants to help? And invariably, the vast majority of the audience wants to help. Cool. Then let's band together and let's go do this. Let's create a community of people who want to serve more people. And what this really comes down to is the 7 steps actually become an acronym.
Another acronym.
I'm an acronym guy.
An acronym guy.
the acronym, the reason you use acronyms is because if people remember the acronym, they can probably learn the teaching point and the category and the information that's in that point. So the acronym is Live Life in Harmony. 7-letter word, harmony, for your spiritual, personal, professional, physical, financial, social, and
Wait, what's the acronym?
Harmony.
Harmony.
HARMONEY. So we'll go through each one of them. And
you said
so
Live Life in Harmony, and I was just like, is it Live Life in Harmony? LLI? No, Harmony.
Oh, no, it's harmony. The 7 steps are actually harmony.
Oh my God, doesn't spell a word. I know you can do better, Scott.
Well, the first is honor your higher source. And this is the spiritual component of leading people and doing all this. For me, that's God and Jesus Christ. For somebody else, it might be Buddha, Allah, Hindi, the universe, whatever they choose to call it, I'm fine with. That's not my job. My job is to believe what I believe and be a living example of that belief. And it's also to support you that I believe you should believe something. Now, if you believe or want to believe what I believe, that's fine. I'll talk to you about it. But it's not my job to do the converting and the heavy lifting. It's my job to be the example of what somebody might want. And there's an interesting definition, and that is confidence in the unseen and assurance of the unknown. It's actually the definition for 2 words. Fear is confidence in the unseen. It hasn't happened yet. Assurance of the unknown. I don't know whether it's going to happen or not, but I'm afraid of it.
That's an interesting way to wrap it around.
But it is also the definition of faith. Confidence in the unseen. It hasn't happened yet. I haven't seen it. Assurance of the unknown. Don't know that it's going to be there, but I feel like it is. The thing about this is, although it's the definition for 2 words, only one of those 2 is verified and validated. There's a pretty good sales manual that validates that definition as faith. And so you wouldn't be in business if you didn't have faith. Now, why do I say that? Confidence in the unseen. There's no assurance you'll ever have a customer. There's no guarantee anybody will ever walk through your door. Assurance of the unknown. There's no assurance that a vendor will supply you. There's none. So if you didn't have faith, you wouldn't be in business. If you didn't have faith, you wouldn't walk across the street. And yet, I mean, think about it. Confidence in the unseen. I'm sure that bus is going to stop. Why are you sure? Has there ever been a situation where a bus hasn't stopped? Unfortunately, yes. So again, I mean, it's you've got to have the faith, and faith actually has 3 parts. Ask, believe, receive. So again, if you want to understand where this comes from, the ask is knowledge of your belief. You ask for something to happen. I know what I want to believe. Believe is agreement with that belief. I agree for what I'm asking for. And then you have to trust in that belief. And that's the receive. You have to trust that we have to trust when we do double funnel TV that this will move us closer to the desired result as opposed to farther from. It's ask, believe, receive. We're asking, we believe that when we do double funnel TV 5 days a week, something good's going to happen. We believe that it has to happen because we're putting out good content. And then we have to go do it and just trust in it and then allow and receive. So again, it's the It's the people now responding to what we do on Double Funnel TV and saying, hey, that, thank you so much. That was really awesome. Boy, that helped. Whatever the situation might be, right? And then you've got to understand that the plan and timing are perfect. And the best way, I think, to share that is to understand that you can either believe that higher sources plan and timing is perfect, or you can believe that this not so pleasant event shouldn't have happened. But you can't believe in them both.
Exactly.
You can believe one or the other. So the point is, if you believe the plan and timing are perfect, then it's the next step of the belief, and that is that ultimately all things that you experience are there for your good. And I didn't say there to make you happy.
No.
I didn't say there to make you wealthy. I didn't say there to have you celebrate. I said they're all for your good. They're there to teach and help you with a lesson or something you need. So one of the, and again, sometimes when this is an interactive presentation, people are, oh, Scott, are you kidding me? That thing couldn't have been there to help me. And so what I would encourage people to do is create an evidence log and actually write things down. Right. The evidence log is about
evidence log.
Yeah, is writing things down, because what then you can go back and say, that thing that happened a week ago Tuesday, when it happened, it kind of confused me. But now I see that I gained that little tidbit of wisdom or that little whatever that I need in this situation. The evidence log is there to help verify and validate for you in your life that in fact the plan and timing are perfect. Again, if you would write these things down, you would sit there and go, oh, that's why I ran into that piece of junk, right? Because all of a sudden it gave me a desire to be 180 degrees away from that.
That's
but
true.
At the time you go, oh, why did I have to go through that? So you don't, it's not like all the lessons and all the messages happen at once. Kind of the foundation might happen, and then you get frustrated by it or whatever, and then you go, ah. So I'll call it on me, stewardship. Okay. I go back and I look at a couple of decisions I made. I go, wow, I wasn't a very good steward of that situation. And because of that, I now look at a couple things and go, boy, it'd be better if that wasn't happening. Well, who's the one responsible? I am. Dang it. Okay, don't do it again. So the point is,
that part always gets you. Who's responsible?
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's the point of this, is that's why you create the evidence log, because if you create the evidence log, now you can go back and go, oh, that's why that happened.
Exactly.
So the other side of it is it takes the pressure off some of the negatives.
And that was kind of what we mentioned yesterday from Dean Graziosi. Man, I'm bad with the names thing. That is a big bad name. Think of every single morning, just think of 3 things. 3 things good that happened yesterday and 3 things you want to happen.
Exactly. And so again, those are all tips and techniques on how to use this material effectively. And you'll be much better off. You don't have to do it, but if you do it, it'll probably be better. The A in Harmony stands for align yourself professionally. This is your career. There's nothing worse than doing something you hate. So stop it. I mean, if you hate doing what you're doing, you're not going to be enthused about it. You're not going to be excited about it. You're not going to do it well.
Nope.
I mean, I can give you all the wrong side of it, right? But align yourself and do what you really love. And it's interesting because I'm working with a number of coaches have coaches. So you have people that pour into me, and this whole recognition that all of a sudden in the last few weeks, I mean, it has surfaced. This is the evidence of it, right?
Yes.
That, holy cow, you're teaching things that nobody teaches. That's really valuable. Well, if nobody teaches it and I teach it, wouldn't that be a niche market? Maybe I should look into that. Novel
Funny
concept.
how that works, right?
Funny how that works, right? And so that's what's all of a sudden happening, which now all of a sudden we've got multiple events coming up, and obviously you're involved in that as well. And we're going to do a lot of great things together, and we're going to serve a lot of people. And isn't it amazing how all of a sudden stuff takes off, right?
Crazy. And you know what makes things take off?
Action.
You just have to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's what you were at Traffic and Conversion, and Sean and I were talking, and all of a sudden we just went, well, let's put a date to it.
I like that too. Without telling me.
Without telling you, we just did it, right?
Ask for, what is it? Don't ask for permission. Ask for forgiveness
as opposed to permission. Well, but the point was, we had a fairly good understanding that you'd want to play. But the point is, we made the decision we needed to get going. And so we felt that you would want to do that as well. But if you didn't, we still need to get going.
Exactly.
One way or the other, you can sit. And that's where we live in this world where people get offended by everything. Well, you didn't ask me first. Oh, shut up. Then you don't believe that what we're working to do is for the good of all of us. I mean, exactly. Get out of your own stuff, and realize that this is being done to serve all of us and more people, right?
Exactly.
So, when it comes down to doing this as a leader, the first thing you have to do is you have to be lead worthy.
Crazy, huh?
Novel concept.
That was means what was he saying? You have to pay the success tax.
You got to pay. Yeah, you got to be. But the other side of that is you got to be lead worthy, and probably to be a good leader, you had to be, or at times you have to be, a good follower. You have to also be able to take criticism, take take suggestions, take different things. And it's really interesting. We came up with even one more thing late yesterday about this event coming up. We talked about, because U+1, as an example, this upcoming U+1 event, March 30th, come join us, is when you purchase a ticket to the live event, it's for U+1. And then we have the live stream, and that's available. And we're sitting there and we went, wait a second. We need to make the live stream for U+1 as well. So we came up with an idea that we send out a coupon to those around the world who enroll for the live stream, for a coupon to invite a friend to the live stream for $1. So because we have to get them to register, we couldn't do it without. It was a free idea. It was the same concept. Yeah. But within Kyvio, I realized that I had to charge $1 in order to get the information. So, okay, we're going to give them a coupon that now the live stream that they get to send the coupon to one person and include them for $1. So now they can care about somebody. And this is even in Costa Rica or Europe or wherever, right?
Exactly.
So
Because Sean has a big following down there, doesn't he?
Huge following. So again, we want to carry through the whole concept of U+1 and show up at the live event or come to the live stream, and you'll understand it far more. But we were sitting there going, well, we've done this for the live attendees. We actually need to do this for the live streamers as well. So that's what I'm saying is you're always, how do you be a leader? And it's your core values, right? What caused that was we went back.
And you know what you didn't say? You didn't say there isn't an easy way to do this and forget about it. You just found a workaround.
That's exactly it. We found a workaround that was $1. And so then the next conversation says, and Sean actually put this in a video, you know, the live event is $198 for you +1. Hey, you could probably split the price between you if you wanted to. And so it's the same thing with the live stream. It's $39, but now you get a coupon for your +1 for $1. You could split the $40, right? If you wanted to. So again, but that also comes down to, which is the next point within Align Yourself Professionally, those core values. The integrity of, we offered 2 for $1 to be there live. We originally, not purposefully, we just didn't think about it. We hadn't offered U+1 for the live stream. So we figured out how to do that to stay consistent and congruent, right? Mm-hmm. Because the mission, or really our vision, is to positively impact 1 billion lives on the planet.
No, I like that.
That's really where it all came together anyway, is being congruent with that. You know, when you align yourself professionally, you've got to be on purpose. You know, well, what's your purpose? For me,
funny, like that makes me think of the word intentional.
Right.
And have you ever heard of the speaker Sally Hogshead?
Yeah.
She was at Traffic and Conversion doing her fascination speech.
Right.
And she has a grid, and intentional was one of my adjectives.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so my life purpose statement is to inspire and empower others to serve humanity through living their life's purpose in spirit, love, and joy. That's my life purpose statement. I encourage everybody to create one. If you need help, I've got documents that'll help on that. But the point is, so let's go back to when you asked me to become part of Double Funnel TV. Okay. Let me run it through my filter. My filter is my life purpose statement to inspire and empower others to serve humanity. Well, yeah, we're doing that right now through living their life's purpose. Well, if they can reach more people and do this through having a funnel, they're getting to do what they're doing, and I'm helping them do that and helping you do what you do. Okay, this is going in the right direction. In spirit, love, and joy. Closer to God than I've ever been. Love my wife, my family, my friends more than I ever have. And joy. Yeah, I have a blast.
And you're constantly saying these things. Like for anybody watching, these are not just things that you say when you're in front of people either.
Oh, no.
This is not just a stage act. When it's just you and me and no one else is listening, you say it. When I hear you in other conversations, you're saying the same thing. Like when you say you align yourself to this statement.
Exactly.
You really align yourself to this statement. And the biggest impact, and I don't know if it's because I'm a partner this year, so there's a lot of traffic and conversion. I was like, I don't need to be in the sessions. I need to be out talking to people and networking. But the 3 keynotes each day was where I felt like the biggest impacts were, right? And everyone was, I mean, it all comes down to these few things. Like we were talking about yesterday with Dean Graziosi, what you're talking about. Why do you do things? What is your vision? Run everything through that.
Well, it's interesting. So the next part of that is you have to express your passion. Do you think I'm passionate about what I do? Mm-hmm. But the statement that I came up with long ago, when you've got a big enough what and a strong enough why, the how shows up. And what most people do is they ask the wrong question. How is this going to happen? How are we going to get 2 for 1 on a live stream? How are we going to, how? What do you want to do? We want to impact as many people as we can. Why? Because number one, it's our time. Number two, they need to hear the message. Number three, we've been given the talents and capabilities to accomplish this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Well, how are we going to do it? Let's just talk about it enough and awesome poof. And so that's why, again, you're gone. You were, in the sessions and different things. And Sean and I was kind of just pounding on him a little bit, actually. And he was doing the same to me, but we were going back and forth with, well, why aren't we doing this? Because we just haven't said it. Well, let's do it. Okay, March 30th. Perfect. What are we going to do? Don't know. And we did a live and just said, hey, we got an event March 30th. If you don't know what we're doing, we don't either. Just be there. And that's how the first one's, right? Well,
Exactly.
now that you've got that out in the ether, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that that's out there, it's like, well, by God, we better develop something here pretty quick. And so it was really funny because when we finished and then we hung up, I was so busy working on whatever I was working on, but we had kind of flushed it out pretty quickly, right? And all of a sudden, I don't know, 20 minutes later, I sent Sean a link to the landing page. And his first comment was, you are getting pretty good at building funnels. He said, all of a sudden, you've got a page put together. And so it was funny because it went from, you don't know crap about this software to, you're getting pretty decent at this. And so it was just funny how it all came up. And again, not trying to, I got a long way to go, believe me. But the point is that we had enough that we could put something out there. And so, and done is the new perfect. It kind of looked like crud and it did whatever, but you could order a ticket. You could reserve your spot. So
and what? This kind of goes back, like the done is the new perfect. I said that. And I don't remember. I think it was probably in context to the funnels that we were building or of that nature. But the reason people don't want to do done is the new perfect, and that was covered at traffic and conversion, and I didn't even put 2 and 2 together, is that concept that was reiterated over and over again of tall poppy syndrome. If you're standing out above the crowd and it's not perfect, somebody might say something. Who cares?
And that's exactly it. I mean, you got to get over this. It was a point I was working to make earlier, and I got off it by talking about something else, but become unoffendable.
Yeah, and you've said that so many times, but it's like, it's really true. Like, just while we've been talking, as I shake my computer around, when my VA who schedules all the Be Live so that it has all the information that can be on the description, before I even sit down, that way I can take my kids to school, put my pretty face on and then sit down with you and not have to worry about typing that all out each time. He, instead of copy pasting the part he was supposed to, he added an extra line. The part that said copy paste this and put it in the description, he copy pasted that portion. And he's done it twice now. Somebody has already private Facebook messaged me. Like, I noticed they did not comment on the Be Live, the Facebook Live, but they have been private messaging me. I'm like, thanks for the heads up. That's it.
Exactly.
You don't have to take it personally. It's not a condemnation that you suck at this. It's just that the further you push, the faster you push, things aren't perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, you do everything you can to do the best you can, and just do it the best you can all the time. We got 12 minutes. Or
12 minutes.
So the R in Harmony stands for recreate yourself daily. This is your physical side. And the question I asked the audience last week was, how many of you plan on staying in your body the rest of your life? it's always fun to ask that question because everybody looks at you like you're nuts. But the word recreation is actually recreation. And recreation is to do that, to recreate us, to get rid of the stresses, to get rid of the stuff. You know, we're all a product of physical, emotional, and chemical stress on a daily basis. If you don't do something about it, it's going to catch up with you. Studies show that happens, right? Now, for me, I talk, and in this, I talked about my car accident, but my car accident was my car actually attacking me. Going to a speaking event, flipped open the back of my SUV, was balancing a box of books on my knee, ducked underneath, and as fast as I threw the back deck up, it came back down and hit me in the back of the head. Colcock may just about knock me out. Had a pretty significant headache, a pretty significant lump on my head. But once I finally kind of shook it off, I went to the speaking event. I did the event like I'm supposed to do and all that stuff. But over the next 8 days, I had a headache, 2 to 3 on a 10 scale. Not a bad headache. I'm a guy. What do you do? Nothing, because you just don't. Well, 4 days into it, I got onto an airplane, flew out to LA because we were filming infomercials. Boy, when I got up to altitude, I felt like my head was going to blow off. They kind of called that a clue. A friend of mine looked at me and she said, "How come you're not reading? You always read when we fly." And I said, "I just can't focus right now, and didn't think too much of it. Bottom line is, another 4 days later, I was walking along only to have my legs stop. And literally I was walking, and all of a sudden I wasn't walking. I was just standing there, and I was on 2 tingling stumps. And I was in the middle of a full-blown cerebellum stroke.
Not the best place to have one either.
No, I was in...
Not that there's a great place.
Yeah, I was going to Bubba Gumps for lunch with a group. Yeah, I was going to Bubba Gumps for lunch with a group of people. 7 of them, we were all walking. 3 of them doctors. Coincidence? I think not. Anyway, they threw a chair underneath me. I was on 2 tingling stumps. I was having this full-blown stroke. So many stories have come from that. But what people don't get is many times is the cerebellum is speech, memory, fine motor skills, walking, talking, vertigo. By the grace of God, I walk away with nothing. Now, it doesn't mean that I didn't have, some serious issues going on. I had some really serious issues going on. The good news is my body cleared most of those issues very quickly. Actually, they took me to the emergency room, released me 5 hours later with a major migraine. To say they missed it would be a understatement. But the point is, I was able to come back from that. And again, this is one of those, you got to believe the plan and timing are perfect, because I can either believe the plan and timing were perfect or that shouldn't have happened to me, but I can't believe them both. So
That's true.
What do
and I
you
always found with that concept, the first one you were talking about, where you have to believe in that higher power and that everything happens for a reason. That's always the hardest one for me to work with.
Well,
I have to sometimes just grit it and move forward.
It's actually the hardest one for most people to work with. And you're not alone in that. And that's, again, where faith comes in and whatever that higher source is to you. But again, there's a pretty good book that says all things work towards our good. Well, what many people, even when they talk about that passage, is they don't include the first 3 words of that passage. And the first 3 words are, as we know, all things work towards our good. See, we know this, but the reason that people don't include that when they share that is because they haven't necessarily accepted that they know this. because
Yeah.
we wouldn't do things that we know aren't good for us. Well, I'm pretty sure as a human race we've proven that we do a lot of things that we know aren't good for
Right.
us, right? So again, the encouragement is just take care of yourself. Get with good people like Rayanne, and
Mhm.
life is here to be lived. From that side.
Exactly.
The M in Harmony is make money foundational.
Make money foundational.
Yep. And it's not about money, but it's about the fact that if you don't have money, you can't do as much as if you do have money. And so don't misconstrue this, that it's, we've got an invitation to make as much money as we possibly can. Now, sometimes people say, or the way it was shared with me is, you have an obligation to make as much money as you can because, you've been granted these talents and capabilities. And I said, well, first of all, I don't like the obligation word. I don't like the O word. So,
Nobody likes to feel obligated. We
well,
want control over our own lives.
and that's why it's better said as we have the invitation to make as much as we possibly can. And it's not, again, I don't have time to go through the entire money talk that I got from two friends who have sold over 500 million books, and next to the Bible is the #1 selling book series on the planet.
Would that be Jack Canfield?
That would be Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen. But basically what they said is, it's not about the money, it's about the two things that come with money: the good you can do and the influence you can have. So again, it's not about producing the money for money's sake. It's about the good that we can have with it, the influence we can have with it. And see, that's what we're finding with our travel products is, it's quite frankly why our travel vendor really enjoys working with us, because we're working to use our travel product to raise money for foundations and for churches and to support people taking good actions. And we're using it for good. Now, do we make money at it? Yeah. But we're actually taking the vast majority of that money and reinvesting it in the market or in other things. Again, because of the good work once we have it, we can do good work with it.
Exactly.
We can create influence. We can do good with it, right? So, Jim Rohn said, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. And so when it comes to the financial stuff,
I don't think I've ever heard that quote from him.
Oh yeah, no, it's so true. You've got to keep on putting money into the best place you possibly can. Benjamin Franklin said this way back when: the very best place to empty your purse is with knowledge in your head. So this is not a new concept. This has been around for a long, long time, is to put it, kind of invest in yourself, which is what you did by going to Traffic and Conversion, and what we talk about by coming to live events like the one March 30th that you're going to want to be there. The O in Harmony stands for open your mind to more.
Open your mind to more.
That's right. So your life experience is determined by the books you've read and the people you've met. That was what Charlie Tremendous Jones said to me as we did what became his last live event before he passed. And Charlie said, thank you so much for writing Talking with Giants. You're changing the world one book at a time. And so what we don't understand, on the personal side, is we got to be dedicated to Kanai, constant, never-ending improvement. You've got to just, we're on the planet to grow and expand, and that's
Absolutely.
not just physically. It's not that we're just supposed to get larger. We're supposed to get smarter. We're supposed to get more agile. We're supposed to get
Very.
yeah, all those wonderful kinds of things, right? So one of the things that I share is that the way to open your mind to more is to ask these 5 questions in any situation. And when you ask these, what happens is this turns anything into a learning event. Good, bad, or indifferent, however you categorize the thing, ask these 5 questions and it'll turn it into a positive and into a learning event. And the questions are, what's the lesson? What's my gift?
Yeah.
What did I do to create it? How would I modify it next time to make this better? How will this serve me the rest of my life? So again, if we let's take a situation that the vast majority of people would look to be not a positive, the cerebellum stroke that I had. What's the lesson? Well, when the back deck of your SUV hits you in the back of the head and just about knocks you out, and you have a headache for 8 days, that's not normal. Go get checked out. Okay? What's the gift? Even though I didn't get checked out, I'm still here and I have learned from this. What did I do to create it? Well, I balanced the box of books on my knee. It was super cold outside. It never occurred to me that the canisters that hold up, the support arms that hold up the rear deck, it never occurred to me that they wouldn't do that. But because it was so cold, they failed. So when I flipped it up really fast, it came down really fast. How would I modify it next time to make it better? Sell that car. Which I did. I got rid of it pretty quick, but that wasn't really it's recognized that it could come down, it could hurt me, take more caution, start a little earlier. Again, there's a lot of different things. How will this serve me the rest of my life? Well, right. I can tell you 23 days after my stroke, I was on stage telling the story, and a guy walked up to me immediately and said, "Hey, I've had a headache now for about 10 days. Thank you. I'm going straight from here to the doctor." And he reported back to me a couple weeks later. He goes, "Thank you so much." He said, "I had a situation. The good news was I wasn't in a stroke type situation, but I was in something that they could handle. They adjusted some medication and now I'm fine. I want to thank you." So again, how's it going to serve me? Well, I'm going to tell the story and I'm going to hopefully positively impact others. Good. It works. The N stands for nurture your relationships. Nurture your relationships. This is your family or your social side. And relationships are never 50-50.
No.
They are 100-100.
Hopefully.
And what most people don't like is what I just said. See, if you come and you take 2 things on opposite sides of a stream and you bend the trees together and you lash those together at 50-50, you've created a bridge, but it's not a very strong bridge. Nope. Whereas if this is 100% over here and this is 100% over here, and now you lash it, now it's impenetrable. And so the point is, people said, well, if I give 100, they can't give 100. I said, well, you give 100 until they give 100, and then you give 100 and back and forth. And well, what if they never do that? Well, after a period of time, if that doesn't happen, probably create a different relationship, right? But don't limit what you have. Give it everything you've got all the times that you can to make it as good as you can possibly make it. It just is what it is. And one of the ways, there's actually a couple of ways to do that. And Dr. Gary Chapman has written both of these books. And the first is the 5 love languages. And the love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, physical touch. Don't have time to expand on all of these.
No.
If we're doing an event, I would. But the fact of the matter is that when I was on the road a lot for 6 years, words of affirmation, I would call my wife 2, 3, 4 times a day, tell her how much I loved her. Receiving gifts, I would send her flowers. Typically every week I would send her flowers while I was on the road. Acts of service, when I would come home, I would do the honey-do list and do that. When I was home, I rub her back. To this day, I rub her back every night. I give her a back rub every night. And so that's 4 out of the 5 love languages, really good at. Except I was on the road for 6 years. What's her quality time? Or I mean, what's her love language?
Quality time.
So it was like, oh, didn't matter whether I did 4 out of the 5 really well. I was missing the one that was really important to her. So again, that's how I modified my schedule and changed all that. But just as important, and this is the book from Dr. Gary Chapman most people don't know, is the 5 apology languages. Just as there are 5 love languages, there are 5 apology languages. And
I've never heard of that one.
Most people haven't. It's really, but it's equally, if not even more important. And those apology languages are expressing regret, accepting responsibility, making restitution, genuinely repenting, requesting forgiveness. So similarly, if your style is, you need to hear, I'm so sorry. But if that's never said and the other 4 are done, it's great you did the other 4. You didn't hit the one that you need to hit. So I would encourage people to get both of those books. And then the Y in Harmony stands for yes to others, yes to yourself. Yes to others, yes to self. And that is really understanding that legacy is about what you're known for right now. And Mother Teresa said it this way: if you can't feed 100, then feed just 1. There's always something you can do, you know, and I think, and that's kind of where we started U+1, because it was like everybody wants to fix the masses, help the masses, do the stuff for the masses, but people don't want to start with just 1. And so that's what we said.
I want something massive.
It's U+1. So that's what we're going to do. And so, you know, I talk about the difference between fame and impact a lot with my coaching clients. Do you want fame or do you want impact? Did Mother Teresa want fame or did she want impact? Well, she wanted impact. She worked with the least of these, right? She did everything she could, but because she created so much impact, ultimately she achieved fame.
Not money.
But she didn't go out for fame. Well, no, she didn't have a bunch of money, but you know, she traveled on expensive jets and ate at the best restaurants and stayed in the best places because other people paid for it because of the service and the impact she provided.
Exactly.
So the other thing to think of is in 1963, there was an experiment called the butterfly effect. And it basically said a butterfly flapping its wings across the planet will impact what happens on this side of the planet. Everything we do collectively and singularly has an impact on this planet. Everything, all the time. So again, that's where if we can create, that's what Malcolm Gladwell's book Tipping Point was all about. He said basically when we achieve a tipping point, approximately 17% of the participants, possible participants, that in fact a new and different way of doing something will happen. You don't have to convince 100%. You got to convince 17% to then turn it over and make all that happen. It's interesting. All of a sudden my phone going off. And so that's the butterfly effect. So again, another great book and another thing to do. And as far as on my side and our side, it's why I wrote Talking with Giants, because Cynthia Kersey made this impassioned plea to support Habitat for Humanity, and I couldn't write a check. But even though I couldn't write a check, it didn't mean I couldn't do something. So what I did is I wrote a book that now the proceeds go to support that effort. So I used the connections I had, the talents I had, whatever. Sometimes it's about money. Sometimes it's about using what you have. If anybody would like a free copy of that book, they can go to twgfreegift.com and download it.
All right.
It's also the other reason that we created our travel savings passports to help raise money and to do good things for people. So we're using those to do it. And you can look at those at saveontravelexpenses.com if you want to do that. And just to kind of sum it up, when Zig and I were having that lunch where we were talking about the original quote and everything, before we separated, he leaned in and he said, "Scott, I got one more thing for you." And I said, "Zig, that'd be awesome." And he said, "If you're ever discouraged or lack the encouragement you need, always remember that at least at one point, even Moses was a basket case." And I said, "Zig, you still got it." He said, "I always will." See, the fact is, we all have this opportunity to do these kinds of trainings or to serve people or to help people or to do whatever we choose to do. The only question is, do you choose to do it? You know,
Exactly.
We're choosing to do Double Funnel TV because we want to serve people. We're choosing to make ourselves available because we want to serve people. We want to help build the funnels and do the different things that allow you to now touch
And at
more people.
PMC, people noticed. People watch. They came up to me.
That's cool.
A lot of people found especially your stuff. They found that just the talking and the process that it takes to do it. They found it really helpful. They
Awesome.
appreciate you.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad we're touching lives, and that's what it really comes down to is, how do we do more of that? We'd still like to, obviously. So get your stuff in. And we've got an upcoming event. Check that out. Check out all this stuff. Let's make this stuff happen.
Right? All right. Outstanding. Well, we are going to wrap it up because it is 10:11 now.
Yep.
I'm going to give you a shot here really quick after we go off of live, and we will see the rest of you guys on Monday where we get back on a regular schedule.
That's right. We're back on funnels. Let's make it.
All right.
Have a great
Bye,
weekend.
guys.
Bye.